Hello students, welcome back to Drishti IAS. My name is Saloni Nandkyoliar and you know this is about the Target Prelims 2026 revision with MCQ series. And today we are going to start with current affairs. Same format, 10 questions, we'll discuss their answers and revise the current affairs effectively. So let's start with the first question. With reference to the Climate Risk Index report of 2026, consider the following statements. 1. It is released by German Watch, a non-governmental organization based in Bonn, Germany. 2. India was ranked 9th among the countries worst affected by climate-related disasters over the last 30 years. And 3. India accounted for less than 5% of global fatalities caused by extreme weather events between 1995 and 2024. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 and 2 only, B. 2 only, C. 1 and 3 only, or D. 1, 2 and 3. Please take 10 seconds and attempt this question and then we'll discuss the answer. Okay. So this climate risk index report, it is actually a report which talks about climate risk that is affecting all the different countries. It ranks countries based on their extreme weather conditions. How extreme, how frequent are these extreme weather conditions in different countries? How many deaths are being caused because of this? What are other losses that are happening because of extreme weather events? All these things are accounted for in this index. So it ranks these different countries, and yes, it is released by German Watch, which is a non-governmental organization based in Bonn, Germany. And very recently in COP30, this was released. Next, India was ranked 9th amongst the countries. Yes. So globally, we were ranked 9th. Last year, we were at 8th. Last year, we were at 8th, and now there is a slight improvement that we moved to 9th. Because if we have a lower ranking, that means that we are more affected by these extreme weather conditions. We are more at climate risk. So last year, we were at 8th, and now we are at 9th. There is a slight improvement. But if we talk of the global deaths caused by extreme weather events, then India, has it accounted for less than 5%? No. We are in the top 10 in terms of ranking. It has not been less than 5%. It has been more than somewhere around 9% when it comes to global fatalities caused by extreme weather events between 1995 and 2024. So this statement over here is incorrect. And the correct answer would be option A, 1 and 2 only. So if you look at the explanation over here, so during COP30, this report was released, and according to this, India is ranked 9th among the countries most affected by climate-related disasters in the last 30 years. First time, when was it published? In 2006. First time it was published in 2006, and now globally about 8.32 lakh lives were lost between 95 to 2024 due to extreme weather events. And of this total, if we talk about India's contribution, India accounted for 80,000 fatalities, which means nearly 9.6, so now close to 10, nearly 9.6% of global deaths. So statement number 3 is not correct. Please take a screenshot of this explanation. All right. So over the past 3 decades, now what kind of extreme weather conditions do we have in India? We have droughts, we have cyclones, we have heat waves, we have floods, and all these also relate to economic losses. Environmental losses happen, lives are lost, but there are also economic losses. Damage in infrastructure is also happening. So these things are also taken under consideration. And this report highlights that in 2024, 8 of the 10 most affected countries belonged to the low income and lower middle income groups only. So mostly these developing countries or the underdeveloped countries are the countries that are at most risk over here because they face the most amount of losses. They do not have adequate technology, adequate infrastructure or rehabilitation or the plans basically to deal with such kinds of disasters so frequently. So they are the ones who suffer the most. And that's why India also here ranks 9th when it comes to climate risk. Now let's move on to the second question. DRISHTI system, recently seen in news, refers to A. An artificial intelligence-based system for monitoring and securing freight trains. B. A satellite-based crop surveillance platform for precision agriculture. C. A real-time disease surveillance and outbreak tracking system. Or D. An integrated digital platform for urban traffic management. Please attempt this question. Okay, so Drishti system is actually an artificial intelligence based system for monitoring and securing what kinds of trains? Freight trains, not passenger trains, but freight trains. So Indian Railways is actually planning on installing this, and this is AI enabled system. It is going to take care of all sorts of security related to transport when it comes to freight trains. Let's say some doors are unlocked, some wagons are not working properly, there is a risk of theft, or there is a risk of some accident happening. So this AI is going to help. It is going to help us analyze and predict that such a thing is going to happen, so that we can prepare for it in a better way. So this is an AI based system that is going to enhance the safety and security of freight trains. So it is going to detect unlocked or tampered doors in moving freight wagons, which pose serious safety and security risks. And if we talk about its development, so it has been developed through a collaborative effort between the Northeast Frontier Railway and the Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati Technology Innovation and Development Foundation. So it's an initiative of the Northeastern Frontier Railway. So please take a screenshot of this. All right. Moving on to the third question. Consider the following statements regarding the conference on just transition away from fossil fuels. Number 1, the first international conference will be co-hosted by the governments of Colombia and the Netherlands. 2, the conference will focus exclusively on the environmental aspects of phasing out fossil fuels. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A, 1 only, B, 2 only, C, both 1 and 2, or D, neither 1 nor 2. Please attempt this question. Alright, so here we are talking about the conference on the just transition away from fossil fuels. So the world realizes that we need to move away from fossil fuels. We need to move more towards more clean energy, greener energy. So we have to move away from fossil fuels. But this transition cannot be haphazard. It cannot just take place like that. We have to ensure that everything is properly placed. So the transition is just, and it should be just in all aspects, in environmental aspects, in economic aspects, every sort of an aspect. So if we talk about this conference in particular, so the first conference, yes, it will be co-hosted by the governments of Colombia and Netherlands. So this is correct. And the second statement here says that the conference will focus exclusively on environmental aspects of phasing out fossil fuels. So no, this is not correct. Because whenever we talk about such conferences, such global conferences, they will have a wide spectrum of stakeholders. They'll have a wide spectrum of objective basically. The objective cannot be very, very narrow, that you focus only on environmental aspects of phasing out fossil fuels. Because when we will phase out fossil fuels, a lot of other things will happen. We only will not have environmental losses to take care of. We'll also have economic losses. We'll also have other types of losses. So the spectrum has to be very, very wide. And in most of the cases, you will see that such kinds of narrow objectives are not really going to be true. So this is incorrect, and the correct answer is 1 only. If we look at the explanation over here, so the governments of Colombia and Netherlands, they have recently announced that they will co-host the first international conference on the just transition away from fossil fuels, and this signals that leadership is going to continue on issues related to climate action and energy transition, right? Now, if we look at the objective over here, so it is conceived as a complementary process to the UNFCCC, and it is going to focus on what? It is going to focus on the legal aspects, on the economic aspects, on the social aspects of phasing out fossil fuels, and not just environmental aspect. It has to be very wide in its objectives, because you will have to look at the trade impacts also. You'll have to look at the reform of fossil fuel subsidies, macroeconomic stability, energy security, developmental challenges, technological challenges, and whatnot. So you have to take care of such kinds of statements. All right, moving on to the fourth question. With reference to dugongs, consider the following statements. Statement 1, dugongs are exclusively herbivorous marine mammals that primarily feed on seagrass meadows. 2, in India, dugongs are accorded the highest level of legal protection under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. And 3, under the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, dugongs are listed in Appendix 2. Which of the statements given above are correct? A, 1 and 2 only, B, 2 and 3 only, C, 1 and 3 only, or D, 1, 2 and 3? Please attempt this question. We're talking about dugongs. Dugongs have been asked by UPSC multiple times. All right. So dugongs are also known as what? They're also known as sea cows. Sea cows. And why are they compared to cows? Because they are herbivorous. They are herbivorous marine mammals. So they are exclusively herbivorous marine mammals, yes, that primarily feed on seagrass meadows. This statement is correct. Now, if we talk about their protection status, so first of all, you should know what is their IUCN status. So the IUCN status is vulnerable. The IUCN status for dugong is vulnerable. And India, if we talk about the protection status, so they are accorded the highest level of legal protection under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Yes, this is correct. Because they are vulnerable to extinction, they are accorded the highest protection in India, Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act. Now, it says that under CITES, they are in Appendix 2. So if we are giving protection to a species that is vulnerable to extinction, most of the times it should be under Appendix 1, which will prohibit their international trade, because we are trying to protect that species. Now, this is not a universal truth, but in most scenarios, if a species is coming under Schedule 1, we are going to give it maximum protection. Then under CITES also, international trade is going to be prohibited, and it should ideally be under Appendix 1. There can be certain exceptions, but in this case, dugongs are placed under Appendix 1. So this statement is going to be incorrect. So the correct answer will be option A, 1 and 2 only. So let's look at the explanation. Dugongs, so the scientific name is dugong, dugon. They are marine mammals and they are often believed to be inspired by ancient seafaring legends of mermaids, owing to their gentle and non-aggressive nature. So that's why they're compared to cows. They are herbivorous, they are non-aggressive, they are very silent, like silent in a way that they are very non-aggressive, and they're very, easygoing kind of marine mammals. They're exclusively herbivorous and they feed primarily on seagrass meadows. So they are referred to as sea cows. IUCN status is vulnerable to extinction. And in India, it is provided maximum legal protection. So Wildlife Protection Act Schedule 1. And under CITES, again, it is Appendix 1, which is going to prohibit their international trade in the species and its derivatives. So if we talk about its distribution also, so it's a marine mammal. It is mostly found around all these Gulf areas, like you have the Gulf of Kutch, the Gulf of Mannar, Pak, Bale region, and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So they are very prominent in the South Asian region. All right, please take a screenshot of this. Okay. Moving on to the fifth question. With reference to the National Beekeeping and Honey Mission, National Beekeeping and Honey Mission, consider the following statements. 1. It is a centrally sponsored scheme aimed at promoting scientific beekeeping and the production of quality honey and beehive products. 2. The scheme is implemented by National Bee Board under the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. 3. As of 2024, India is the largest exporter of honey in the world. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A, 1 and 2 only, B, 2 only, C, 1 and 3 only, or D, 1, 2 and 3. Please attempt this question. Alright, so here we are talking about the National Beekeeping and Honey Mission. So let's break down these statements. Statement 1 says it is a centrally sponsored scheme which is aimed at promoting scientific beekeeping and the production of quality honey and beehive products. So if you look at the objective over here, it is wide, it is very positive. So Ideally, it should be doing these things, promoting scientific beekeeping and production of quality honey and beehive products. So this part should be correct. Right now, we have to focus on this part. Is it a centrally sponsored scheme or not? Is it a centrally sponsored scheme or is it a central sector scheme? So this we'll come back to later. The scheme is implemented by the National Bee Board under the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. Here also the statement can be broken down into two parts. It is implemented by the National Bee Board under the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative, yes, we want to build self-reliance, self-dependence on a lot of things, on the majority of things. So yes, in this case also it can fall under the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. I'm only trying to break down these statements so that just in case you do not know the answer to a specific question and you still have to attempt it, then you can break down the statements and try to make sense of those statements individually also. If you know, definitely go ahead and pick out the right answer. And as of 2024, India is the largest exporter of honey in the world. Now, what is the difference between a central sector scheme and a centrally sponsored scheme? So, the main difference actually lies in the pattern of funding and implementation, right? Funding and implementation. If it is a centrally sponsored scheme, then the funding and implementation will be shared between the center and the states in a specific ratio, 60, 40, 90, 10, whatever it is. The funding is also going to be shared and the implementation is also going to be shared. So the center, there will be a central implementing body and then there will be state level agencies also who will take care of these things. This happens if a scheme is centrally sponsored. But if it is central sector, then the funding and the implementation will be taken care of by the center only. I'm trying to explain this to you because if you look at both the statement number 1 and 2 over here, one says if it's a centrally sponsored scheme, if we assume it to be a centrally sponsored scheme, then it should ideally be implemented by the National Bee Board plus state level agencies, right? And if it is being implemented only by the National Bee Board, then ideally it should be a central sector scheme. Okay. The point here only being, if you do not know a question and you still have to attempt it, then try breaking it down and making sense of the statements individually. So both the statements should not be correct together, right? So now let us look. So 1 and 2 ideally should not be correct together. The answer to this question is that it is a central sector scheme. The objective here is correct, but it is a central sector scheme. So this statement goes wrong. And statement number 2, because it is a central sector scheme, the National Bee Board is the implementing body. So this statement here is correct. So statement number 2 is correct. Statement number 1 is not correct. And as of 2024, India is the largest exporter of honey in the world. So no, this is a data-based question. We should know India is the largest exporter of what kinds of products. When we talk about raw honey, India is not the largest exporter. It is the second largest exporter after China. So this statement is also wrong. So your correct answer would be what? Answer number 2, option number 2. 2 only. So that's why we broke down this question over here. It's a central sector scheme. It is implemented by the National Bee Board and India is the second largest exporter of raw honey in the world. So let's look at the explanation. This is a central sector scheme and it has 3 sub-schemes or mini schemes. So one focuses on production and productivity improvement, other focuses on post-harvest management, and the other one focuses on research and development. All right. It is allocated 500 CR. Great. And if we talk about the objectives are also very wide. Holistic growth of beekeeping sector to enhance rural livelihoods. Ranking, if we talk about, it's world's largest, second largest exporter. India is world's second largest exporter of natural honey after China. So the major Indian states that produce honey, they include Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Punjab, and Bihar and Rajasthan. Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Punjab, Bihar and Rajasthan. And the major export destinations are USA, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Libya. So please take a screenshot of this first. All right. Moving on to question number 6. Operation Pimple, recently seen in the news, is related to A. An anti-Naxal operation in central India. B. A counter-infiltration operation along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. C. A coastal security exercise conducted by the Indian Navy. Or D. A joint counter-terrorism drill with United States. Attempt this question, please. So these are the types of questions. If you know them, you know them. If you don't know them, there is not a lot of guesswork that you can do around here. So the correct answer is Operation Pimple is a counter-infiltration operation along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. So it's an internal security, border security operation along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. It was recently in news, particularly during the winter months of October, November. Post that, infiltration starts increasing. So the army has to be very vigilant about it, and that is when they keep on carrying out such infiltration operations, anti-infiltration operations. So let's look at the explanation. Infiltration attempts generally increase during October-November as military try to enter before heavy snowfall blocks mountain passes along the line of control, making cross-border movement difficult. So we know that after winters, like during winters, there's going to be heavy snowfall, and the mountain passes, they're going to be blocked for movement. So that's why infiltrants, they want to move before that, before heavy winters approach. So such infiltration activities increase during winters, and extremely, most importantly, just before extreme winters. So that is when this operation was launched. Please take a screenshot of this. All right, moving on to the next question. With reference to INS Ikshak, consider the following statements. 1. It is a survey vessel of large type of the Indian Navy built by Garden Reach shipbuilders and engineers. 2. It is the third survey vessel to be based in the Southern Naval Command. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only, B. 2 only, C. both 1 and 2, or D. neither 1 nor 2. Please attempt this question. All right. So we're talking about INS Ikshak. INS Ikshak is it is actually a survey vessel. It is a survey vessel. What do we understand by survey vessel? Survey vessels are going to be surveying the ocean floor. They're going to be mapping the ocean floor. That will help us with better navigation, better preparation of the different surveys and maps that we have along the ocean floors and sea floors. So these are survey vessels. These are not exactly warships. They are survey vessels. So INS Ikshak, it is a survey vessel of large type. Yes. Of the Indian Navy, it was built by Garden Reach shipbuilders and engineers. In fact, it was in news because 80% of the raw content that has been procured for this development is indigenous. So it's a big win for the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative that this one of the large survey vessels that we have in India, 80% of it has been built with indigenous materials, indigenous content is what we have. And this is the third survey vessel. Yes, it is the third survey vessel. So we have had INS Sandhyak, INS Nirdeshak, and then we have INS Ikshak. So it is the third survey vessel. To be based in the Southern Naval Command? No. Overall, this is the third survey vessel, but in the Southern Naval Command, this is the first one. This is the first one that has been based at the Southern Naval Command. It is not the third one to be based here, but overall in the series of these survey vessels, yes, it is the third vessel after INS Sandhyak and INS Nirdeshak. We have INS Ikshak. All right. So if we look at the explanation over here, it is the third vessel of survey vessel class and has been commissioned at Kochi. It is the first to be based under the Southern Naval Command. So statement 2 is not correct. It has been built by GRSE Kolkata, and the vessel has over 80% indigenous content, highlighting India's push for self-reliance under the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. All right, please take a screenshot. Moving on, consider the following statements regarding the National Water Awards. National Water Awards. 1. Maharashtra won the first prize for best state at the 6th National Water Awards. 2. The National Water Awards were instituted by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change to promote water conservation. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only, B. 2 only, C. both 1 and 2, or D. neither 1 nor 2. Please attempt this question. We're talking about the National Water Awards which are given for best efforts in water conservation. Okay, so in National Water Awards, Maharashtra won the first prize. Yes, Maharashtra won the first prize. Then we had Gujarat and then we had Haryana. 1, 2 and 3 in the fields of water conservation efforts. So Maharashtra won the first prize. Now the second statement says that this was instituted by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change to promote water conservation. Now again, if you know it, go ahead and answer it. Just in case you do not know it and you have to attempt the question, you have to make an educated guess. Then these water awards, if we talk of the ministries, the water awards should ideally be given by the Ministry of Jal Shakti, right? Department of Water Resources, Ministry of Jal Shakti. So if you have to make an educated guess. Now again, this also is not a universal truth, but at times there are the ministries, there are such names of ministries in prelim statements. At times they are given as incorrect. The objective most of the times is wide, so that it is if it's a positive statement, it should be true. But if we talk about the ministries over here, we have to be very careful. If we know that the ministry given over here is correct, then go for it. In case you do not know and you have to attempt it, then try to think upon it and then you can also derive an answer. So here this statement is incorrect because the National Water Awards actually are given by the Ministry of Jal Shakti. So the first statement is correct and the second statement is incorrect. So please take a screenshot of this explanation. First prize has been given to Maharashtra, second to Gujarat and third to Haryana. These awards are given by the Department of Water Resources, River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation under the Ministry of Jal Shakti and not the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Alright. Moving on to the 9th question. Consider the following statements with respect to the national song. National song Vande Mataram. So Vande Mataram first appeared in the literary journal Bangdarshan as part of Bankim Chandra Chatterjee's novel Anand Mat. 2. On January 24, 1948, the Constituent Assembly of India unanimously adopted Vande Mataram as the national song of India. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only, B. 2 only, C. both 1 and 2, or D. neither 1 nor 2. Please attempt this question. Alright, so here we are talking about Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram is our national song. It was written by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. It was written on 7th November 1875. 7th November 1875 is the day when it was written. It was recently in news because year-long commemoration was going on for 150 years. For the 150-year celebration. 150-year celebration of Vande Mataram. So 2025 to 2026, 7th November 2025 to 7th November 2026, year-long celebration was ongoing to mark the 150-year anniversary of Vande Mataram. It was first written on November 7, 1875 as a part of Mr. Chatterjee's novel that was Anand Mat. Anand Mat. Anand Mat was about Sannyasi rebellion, right? So it was written as a part of Anand Mat. But for the first time, it was published in a literary journal or a magazine that was called Bangdarshan. So what happened? That before the publishing of the original novel, the novel Anand Mat, some parts of Anand Mat were published in this magazine called Bangdarshan, and in those parts of Anand Mat, this Vande Mataram was also published. So for the first time it appeared in this magazine. Before Anand Mat was originally published, it appeared in Bangdarshan as the literary journal's inscription. So yes, the first statement is correct. Vande Mataram first appeared in literary journal Bangdarshan as part of Bankim Chandra Chatterjee's novel Anand Mat. Now, the second statement says on January 24, 1948, the Constituent Assembly of India unanimously adopted Vande Mataram as the national song of India. No. On January 24, 1950. These are factual questions. On January 24, 1950, the Constituent Assembly of India unanimously adopted Vande Mataram as the national song of India. That's why statement 2 is incorrect and statement 1 is correct. So let's look at the explanation. Alright, so the program marked the formal launch of year-long nationwide commemoration, November 7, 2025 to November 7, 2026, to celebrate 150 years of the composition written by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee in 1875, November 7, 1875. Right, it was written on a very special day also, Akshay Navami. November 7, 1875 was Akshay Navami. And it first appeared in the literary journal Bang Darshan as part of the novel Anand Mat. And on January 24, 1950, the Constituent Assembly of India unanimously adopted Vande Mataram as the national song. So statement 2 is not correct. Please take a screenshot of this. Alright, moving on to the last question for the day. Consider the following statements with respect to the 8th Central Pay Commission. 1. The commission will be headed by Justice Ranjana Prakash Desai, a former Supreme Court judge. 2. The terms of reference of 8th Pay Commission are largely the same as those of the 7th Pay Commission, with only one additional term added this time. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only, B. 2 only, C. both 1 and 2, or D. neither 1 nor 2. Please attempt this question. We're talking about the Central Pay Commission, 8th Pay Commission. Alright, so here we are talking about the Central Pay Commission. Now, is this a constitutional body? No. This is a body that is constituted by the central government. To do what? By the central government to review the salaries, the pensions, the allowances of the central government employees and see if they need a revision. So basically it talks about fiscal prudence for the central government. Is the government spending too much? Is the government spending too little? And it compares these salaries, these allowances with other countries also. It also factors in the different economic challenges like inflation. So these things are also to be taken under consideration, and ideally every 10 years this pay commission is constituted to factor in these issues like inflation, to also look at what the peers are paying, what other countries are paying, what other private companies are also paying for similar things, and then based on that it comes up with a revision plan that what should be the salary, what should be the pension, what should be the allowance for the central government employees. So this is what the 8th Pay Commission is also supposed to do. Yes, it is being headed by Justice Ranjana Prakash Desai. So this statement is correct, and the terms of reference of the 8th Pay Commission are largely the same as those of the 7th Pay Commission, with only one additional term added this time. This is also correct. The 8th Pay Commission has not made a lot of changes to the 7th Pay Commission. The terms of reference are more or less the same. Only one additional term has been added. So let's look at that. So if we talk about the additional term over here, it is that it is requiring the commission to take into account the unfunded cost of non-contributory pension schemes in the backdrop of demands for restoration of the old pension scheme. So it also has to take into consideration the old pension scheme and then see what is the unfunded cost of non-contributory pension schemes. So basically it has to take care of the old pension scheme also, review the old pension scheme also, and then come up with new things. So the terms of reference are largely the same. It has to do what the 7th Pay Commission had to do, just additional thing that it also has to look at the old pension scheme. So that was all for this discussion. I hope you were able to understand all the questions that we discussed over here. You could have also gotten an idea of how you should be attempting questions, just in case you do not know the exact answer. You are in a 50-50 situation and you want to attempt that question for better chances at qualifying the prelims. Then also there are certain things that you can take into consideration for an educated guess. Now we will look at a practice question for prelims. The INS base, which was operated by India for close to 2 decades, is located in which of the following countries? A. Tajikistan, B. Uzbekistan, C. Kazakhstan, or D. Afghanistan. So please attempt this question and provide your answers in the comment section. Thank you for watching.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.